Mr. Chair.
All right, great. So we'll call to order this special meeting of May 31st, 2023 of the Planning Commission to order. If staff could call roll, please.
Ryan Pearson.
Here.
Paul Wagaman.
Present.
Robert Estrada.
Here.
Don Daniels.
Here.
You have quorum.
Great. Tonight, we're just going to move right to unfinished business of the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2023-03. And Ms. Tiffany.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me open up my brief reminder of what this amendment is all about and where we sit with it tonight. So, oops. Oh, no. You'll have to suffer with the draft version here.
Okay.
Sorry. All right. So as you all are well aware, this has been a discussion had at the Planning Commission now, a number of different meetings, but as of May 17th, which was the last regularly scheduled meeting, the Commission voted to approve the language in Resolution 2023-01 for amendments 01, 02, 04, 06, 7, 8, and 9. And then 05 was also approved. 2023-03 could not be approved on the 17th due to lack of a quorum because two of the planning commissioners had to recuse themselves for conflict of interest. So now tonight we're taking care of that. But a quick change with what was presented to the Planning Commission in at the last meeting. This is the Racquet Club 3 parcels, which are currently split zone between MR1 and OSR2. And when you last saw this recommendation from the department, there was no recommendation. It was just take a look at what you have. There is a recommendation tonight, which is to actually allow the use as an outright use with some additional requirements for height and impervious surface that are different from the rest of OSR2, and then keep them as OSR2 rather than NC2 in the rezone. Commercial and quasi-public health and fitness facilities are allowed per the definition in the city code, and OSR 1 and 2 are zones that can be within or adjacent to all other comprehensive plan designations. The difference regarding the height of the building is based on the International Tennis Federation's height requirements for tournament play, which is 40 feet from the surface of the court to the ceiling inside. So there's a change to code to allow for that. And then there was also a change discussed regarding impervious surface limitations. The goals and policies in open space do actually support the idea of promoting community organizations and programs within OSR2. And you've got a couple of land use policies, 41.3, 42.4, and 42.5 that all support the idea that the Lakewood Racquet Club is wishing to expand in order to allow for additional groups such as senior programs and youth programs to access their facilities. So really quickly, here is where the changes would be regarding the requirements for development in the OSR2 for these specific uses. Instead of 30% of impervious surface, it would be 55%. And instead of a 40-foot building height, that's increased by 10 feet to allow the interior to be 40 feet per the Tennis Federation requirements. Just a quick orientation, there are other areas of the city that are OSR2 as of now, and you see them here in this map with the blue markers. It's about 465, a little more than that, acres, and they're all in areas that I think the Planning Commission is familiar with. So tonight's motion for your consideration is to support the amendment 2023-03 as recommended, and then forward the full resolution to council for consideration and action. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do I have any questions by fellow commissioners?
I have one, Don.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Wagaman.
When we talk through this, because I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I apologize for that. I had another commitment. But are there any downside of what we're doing here? Because this makes sense to me. The proposal by staff. And make an exception for the rule in this particular thing, but are there some downsides that we may be missing or that was discussed in the past?
I would suggest that the downsides have been addressed with this version. The downsides first brought up were that the additional uses, if it were to get rezoned as NC2, there was a lot of other things that might happen on the property, and that's done away with here. But at the same time, by allowing it as an allowed use within OSR2 and then those specific 2 changes to the regs, it's not a conditional use, meaning the racquet club can proceed faster through the permitting process than they would have otherwise had to do, and they don't need to get in front of the hearing examiner.
And we put a provision in there because the tournament thing for tennis said something about 40 feet inside. So we've made that provision because one of the things that this place gets used for is that our public high schools use this. And so if there's tournaments, we need to make,
Yes.
so it looks like we've taken care of all those things.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you very much.
Yep, sure.
Mr. Estrada.
Regarding the use by senior programs and youth programs, and specifically, I guess, the high school, since this is a commercial entity, are these users charged a fee for use of their facilities?
Do you happen to know that for the high schools, Mr. Wagman?
What was that again?
Any payment required by the youth that use the facility?
I don't have an answer to that.
One of the, I guess, reasons we're going this route is because they indicate that youth uses it and senior programs are also, but again, this is a commercial entity. So I don't know, maybe they are allowing all this for free, but I would like to know whether in fact that is a service that is provided by the racquet club to the community for free.
Would you like to include that as part of the findings of fact for City Council to look at?
I would like to.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pearson, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had one. So this is a little bit different than what we had discussed previously, right? Because they were still going to have to go through the conditional use. Is that right? And so now we're upping the impervious limits in OSR2 and then the building height. That's the change from the last version.
That is the change, but that change is only for this use. It is not for everything in OSR2. It is specifically for these types of facilities. All of the other development regulations are the same for all of the OSR2 uses.
Okay. Mr. Estrada, do you have any other questions?
Is this the only commercial entity that has asked for this type of a change?
As far as I'm aware, so far it is.
And we have no problem with providing the same to others in the future.
That's one reason why I provided the map of where the other OSR2 property is located. It's, if you see here, oops, sorry. This, I believe, would be the Oakbrook Golf Club. You've got some property over to the southwest section of the city. You've got the park along just between Tillicum and then Springbrook. And then you've got property up on the east side of, northeast side of the city as well. Those are the only other OSR2 areas. But the way this is proposed is if you were to have any other commercial or quasi-judicial health and fitness facilities ever be built or expand or whatever within that zone, these rules would apply.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, seeing or hearing no other questions, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we take the staff's recommendation as presented to us this evening as for this, what is it? It's
2023-03.
yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
As Tiffany said.
Yeah, no problem. That's a motion by Mr. Wagaman. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Mr. Pearson made a second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing or seeing no other discussion. All those in favor by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Hearing or seeing none, the motion passes as presented to the city council for their, by our recommendations and for their looking at it and then approval if need be. So I thank you so much. Is that the only thing on our agenda tonight?
It is, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder, you're back 1 week from tonight for your regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Meeting adjourned.